Greetings, Dr. Mark Winton here, and I'd like to spend a few minutes today talking about a sociological theory that is frequently used in criminal justice research, and that is symbolic interactionist theory. Symbolic interactionism focuses on interaction between people, and it also focuses on how we understand ourselves, how we make sense of ourselves, how we define ourselves, and also the different roles or positions in society that we take, what we're expected to do, what we expect of ourselves, and also the meaning of symbols, how we understand and interpret each other's symbolic communications, both verbal and nonverbal, and the meanings that these have for us. Bloomer, back in 1969, really did a nice job summarizing symbolic interactionism by stating that this theory is based on the premise that people act based on meanings which derive from interaction with other people and are interpreted by the individual. So I think it's really relevant here when we start thinking about different types of violent crimes to take a look at the interaction that occurs and to look at how people define crime and how they define themselves and how they define others and how we make those interpretations. One perspective that I think is extremely helpful in beginning to trace or analyze violent behavior is scripting theory. And scripting theory really was developed by Gagnon and Simon back in the 60s to focus on sexual behavior. But the same idea can be applied to violent behavior by looking at violent behavior as scripts. And there are violent scripts that we see when people engage in violent behavior. And we might want to look at who are the actors that are engaging in violent behavior, and specifically figure out how we define them, and of course how they define themselves. And we want to look at what exactly are they doing that is defined as violence. So we want to look at who, we want to look at what, and also where does the violence occur? And we also want to look at when does the violence occur? And then how does the violence take place? And of course, why? What is the major motivating factor for the violence? And often there are multiple motivating factors that we might see. Symbolic interactionism is extremely helpful to understanding how people develop ideas of what is considered to be appropriate and inappropriate behavior, how people define what is considered to be legitimate violence versus illegal or illegitimate violence. And by looking at these definitions and these situations, we can begin to understand and make sense of violence in a more comprehensive way. In addition, and based on more recent work by the sociologist Lonnie Athens, we can consider dominance. We can consider how power is embedded in different social relationships. And using this type of analysis can add a great deal to our understanding. And I'll be addressing different types of violent situations in further podcasts, but wanted to provide a very brief overview of symbolic interactionism. Good day or good night, and hope all is going well.